That's an important topic that you brought up here, and I know it's been a cornerstone of your work, is helping people increase the micronutrients in their diet. So talk to us a little bit more about how you help people do that, and maybe just a little more about why it's so important. And sometimes it's just overlooked.
Right, that's right. Because, we know that people have to eat healthy and lose weight. Right? That's what they have to do. They have to eat super healthy and lose weight. But they can't. Just because they know they should eat less food and eat healthier, they can't do it. So I'm saying there's biochemical reasons why they can't do it. And one reason they can't do it is when they try to cut back or eat healthy, they feel rotten and they feel too fatigued. And a lot of people who are overweight and diabetic, they think that fatigue means they're hungry and they need the food to keep their energy up. And they eat in response to that fatigue, so they can't cut back on calories to make them lose weight, other they feel headache, wasted, lethargic, fatigued, or even agitated. And they feel they need to eat to reduce the agitation and to reduce the feeling of wiped out and the mental fog unless they eat food to stimulate themselves. They're using food as a drug, as a stimulant. So it requires a whole different mindset. They have to realize that, number one, fatigue, agitation, being uncomfortable, that's even if it's relieved by food, those are not hunger. That's withdrawal or detoxification from the toxicity of your diet. And number one, you shouldn't be eating in response to fatigue. You should be eating in response to hunger. But they don't have hunger because hunger could take them 6 months of healthy eating to develop back to be connected with instinctual hunger. So they've lost their hunger signals from chronic overeating. And now what they think is hunger are these symptoms predominantly of fatigue or stomach cramping or headaches, whatever it is. So the first step is to flood the body is to eat a diet rich in nutrients. And then to realize that those symptoms, they shouldn't respond with food to what they consider hunger, and they have to control their calories accordingly and their food volume accordingly. And I always make the joke, us Americans live on half of what we eat, and the other half lives our doctors, which actually comes out mathematically about approximately right. Because Americans consume about 3,000 calories a day when most people need about 1,500. They eat about double the calories they need, and the other half feeds their doctors. But they need those extra calories to keep their energy up because they're eating so poorly. Mm-hmm. So the first step, so that's one thing. And the other thing is the type of nutrients they need. A lot of them are found in green vegetables. And I always say, I have people memorize and write this down, that raw vegetables have the most consistent and powerful association with the reduction of cancer of all types. So I have them write that down, memorize that, and that I want their lunch, for example, to include a large salad, not a 6-inch salad bowl, but a 9-inch salad bowl. And believe it or not, I want half of that salad bowl to be lettuce, to be green leafy lettuce. The other half can be, mustard greens, bok choy, kale, arugula, spinach, other things. But I want just a simple green lettuce. There's almost no oxalic acid in lettuce. It's very rich in sulfoquinavose and factors that thicken the microbiome, the biofilm that cover the villi. And then, of course, they put onions and scallion in there is very important. But so we design the mushrooms, and then they have a bowl of vegetable bean soup with mushrooms and onions, with cooked mushrooms and beans in there. And then maybe one fruit for dessert. And that becomes the centerpiece of their daily diet, this lunch. Mm-hmm. It becomes the large salad, and they're chewing the salad very well because they're trying to maximize nutrients from every mouthful of beauty that is in all the nutrients that are in there. We say that the discovered nutrients are the tip of the iceberg because we've discovered like 1,000 nutrients, but there's 100,000 nutrients in food. Most of them are not discovered, and all these nutrients are particularly valuable, especially when you're eating things from good soils. You get more heightened levels of nutrients when you're growing things in better soils as well.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the dressing matters because we're using a dressing with nuts and seeds. Vinegars could be tomato sauce, almonds and hemp seeds with black fig vinegar. It's a dressing that's a healthy dressing, not an oil dripping with oil dressing. So we're getting that about half an ounce of nuts and seeds with the dressing, which then can facilitate the absorption of the phytochemicals in the salad by about 20 to 50 times by having those certain types of fats and the small amounts of fats in the meal at the same time. So we're like designing this maximized nutrient lunch, and it's really probably you're eating a lot of food, and it's still under 400 calories per meal, right? But it's a lot of food volume, that you're consuming. So you're satiated, and then we want people to, and then of course we got to go into lunch and dinner too. But I'm saying that I mentioned that lunch and that salad first because I really want to feel the basis for these most nutrient-rich foods to start to get the body to fuel the NRF2 transcription proteins and the detoxification mechanisms in the cells from eating that large salad. And I'm saying here that these two raw foods and these two cooked foods have a particularly powerful effect at building up a good thickened film. They call it the biofilm that covers the villi in the small intestines. I should say three raw foods, because including lettuce there as the third raw food, because lettuce is really very important. It's not like a little nothing food. Okay. So then you thicken the biofilm of healthy gram-positives, and then the glycemic load coming through the digestive tract into the bloodstream is blunted by the healthy, adherent, and thickened biofilm that lives there. And these three raw foods, we'll go over them one more time, are raw lettuce, raw green cruciferous vegetables like bok choy, kale, arugula, Brussels sprouts, broccoli, and the other raw food is raw scallion and onion. And if you chew them very well, because the enzyme that forms the ITCs are the isothiocyanates, and those are probably the most powerful anti-cancer substance and most powerful substance in fueling the antioxidant response element in the cell that is the major mechanism for cleaning the cell and repairing it. The NRF2 transcription proteins activate the ARE, the antioxidant response element, and the NRF2 transcription proteins are activated by polyphenols, but they're powerfully activated by ITCs. I know I said it fast, but people don't have to know all those words. But anyway, so we have the cell machinery being activated. But what I'm saying right now, the part that I do want them to remember here, is how well you chew that salad and the onion, breaking open the cell walls, liberates those raw enzymes, the myrosinase enzyme in green cruciferous vegetables and the alliinase enzyme in onion and scallion, to form these biological compounds in your mouth. And by chewing them in your mouth and mixing them with human teeth and the bacteria in your mouth, you're forming more nitric oxide and other beneficial biologic compounds with the chewing action and mixing it with saliva and the bacterial between the teeth. And then, so we went over those three raw foods. And the two cooked foods are cooked beans and cooked mushrooms. And we want people to eat a variety of mushrooms. I always say, buy the shiitake mushrooms, but every day have some other mushroom with your shiitakes. So have like lion's mane, oyster, trumpet, straw mushroom, whatever kind of mushroom, chanterelle. And it doesn't matter if they're $13 a pound. You're just going to eat like a quarter of a pound, maybe. You're going to need even a quarter cup. Because even just a little bit of having a few varieties of mushrooms have very powerful anti-fat storage effects, anti-angiogenic effects, anti-estrogenic effects. And they fuel the body with the richest source of ergothioneine, which supports the cellular repair. And so all these things build back the health to the cells, including eating mushrooms so we're trying to get these foods into people as opposed to just taking foods away. We want to put the foods in their diet so now their body can function better, essentially.